Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about your gauges. This is your dash, your panel, your control panel on your dashboard, to give you an idea of what your horsepower is, what your temperature is, what your RPMs are. Okay?
Okay.
And the way that you get to find your onboard gauges is you go to a thing called your task manager. And there's a couple of ways of getting to the task manager. One way is to take your mouse and right click on the task bar and go to the task manager and click on task manager. But the best way, the one that you need to really learn how to use, is with a keyboard shortcut, because there might be a time when you don't have a mouse, you don't have anything except the keyboard, because your mouse won't be responding and the whole system will be stuck. Okay? When that time comes, your only avenue of escape might be the task manager. And the way you do that is you go Control and you hold it down, then you go Alt, hold it down, and then delete. So it's Control plus Alt plus delete. And that's how you do it. You go Control, Alt, delete. Hold the Control down, then hold the Alt down, and hold the delete down, and all three of them like that. And you're going to get this window right here, which is the Task Manager. Okay? Now the Task Manager is a very useful tool, and it does a whole bunch of different things for you. One thing it does, for example, say you've got a window that's stuck, and let's just for instance, let's just bring up let's bring up Firefox. Oh, there it is. There's Mozilla Firefox at the bottom there. Okay, I'm going to bring up Firefox. Let's see what we got here. It says safe mode. No, we don't want to be in safe mode, so we're going to go Programs and Firefox. So there's Firefox. Okay, you want to? Yes. Alright, so there's Firefox, and you see when you're in your task manager here, you're going to see in the first thing, applications, you're going to see what's actually running your active applications. Okay, applications meaning anything that's running. Let's turn on, for example, WordPad. There's WordPad, and it's showing you that WordPad's running. Okay. Now, why is that important to see what's running? Well, say for example WordPad's stuck, and you can't turn it off. It's stuck. The cursor's stuck. The whole thing's stuck. You can't do anything with the program. It's stuck. This is where you go to turn it off, and that's why Task Manager, even though I'm clicking on this button here and I'm highlighting this program, Task Manager by default is on top of everything so that you can actually see what's going on. When you have Task Manager, it's on top of everything. Even if you don't click on it, it stays on top. Okay? So let's just, for instance, say that you've got a Word document and you're stuck. It's not responding. Okay? In that case, what you want to do is you want to go and highlight this, and it'll say right here, it'll say not responding. You go down here to end task, click on that, and it'll just kill it. See? When
why is WordPad better than WordPerfect?
We're not actually. This illustration isn't relevant to WordPad or WordPerfect. We're just showing you illustrations of how to get rid of these programs. So let's focus on that, and we'll talk about that at another time. So for example, let's say you want to get rid of Firefox, okay? And you can also go over here to End Task and get rid of it. Now, sometimes the other thing that's really useful about the Task Manager is when you turn on the Task Manager, you're going to get this little green box right here. See this little green? That is your RPM gauge. And I always run my computer with the Task Manager on so I can keep track of my RPMs. Okay? Like you notice I run my Cadillac with the temperature gauge on. I want to see what's going on. I got an RPM gauge, I got a temperature gauge, and I got an oil pressure gauge, and I want to see what's going on. I don't want to wait for the idiot light. So with a computer, let's say for example, see if I put my cursor on here, it'll say CPU usage 10%. Well, once the CPU usage goes to 100%, you cannot ask the computer to do one more thing because it's going uphill with the pedal floored.
Right, it's loaded.
So you have to stop touching the keyboard. Now, let's say for example I do this. Notice down here,
right,
you're going to see when I do that, there's going to be a little green. Here, let me just try to go like this. You see this little green thing kind of fluctuates.
Right.
But we need to do something a little more intensive. Let's go like that. Oh, see it? See it moving there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's your RPM gauge. See how it jumped?
Right.
Well, when you're really in the middle of doing something, it's going to go full on green. Okay? When it does that, you know that you cannot do one more thing. You have to stop and wait for the computer to catch its breath because it's working. Now, there's another place I want to point out to you where you can keep an eye on this. So I always have my Task Manager running, so I can keep an eye on this. See how when the thing goes all completely green and it stays stuck on green, I stop and wait for it to catch up. So here's where you can end your applications. But this right here is going to show you your CPU usage and your memory usage. It's sort of like the CPU's the RPMs and the memory is the vacuum gauge. You know how if the vacuum goes to zero, you can't get any more out of them. Right. Okay. Same like that. On all of these programs, if you click on all these computer programs, if you go to an interface that has a list like this, if you click on this heading, it will organize everything in alphabetical order. That organizes it from A to Z and from Z to A.
Wow.
Okay? If you hit here, the same thing, alphabetical order. If you hit here, it'll be numerical order. So now we've got the biggest at the bottom and the biggest at the top. Okay, so different ways of organizing, and here the same thing, numerical order, smaller to bigger and bigger to smaller. Okay, so right now we're going to look at memory usage. Firefox is using 21,000 kilobits of memory. Okay, CPU usage is 0. So this is a descending order of the memory usage. Okay, if you've got the memory usage that's going over 100,000, you know that program is using a lot of memory. If it goes over to 200,000, it's pegged the memory to the max and cannot do anything else. If you go to CPU usage, you can determine there, right now the system idle process is using 97%. But what if I go here? What about, you can see the changes that take place when I activate different things as you look at the CPU usage jump. You see it, so it jumped to 16 and down.
Right.
So when you're working on something and things are not responding, come over here to the processes in the Task Manager and take a look at what each thing is doing. I mean, turn on your CPUs, look at who's using up all the CPUs, and then you'll go, God, that thing is using up a lot of CPUs. What is the deal with that thing? And if it's just not working, you go over here and you hit End Process, and boom, it's going to end it. Okay? It'll give you this warning, hey, terminating a process can cause problems. You go, yep, get rid of it. Because the worst thing it can do is shut your computer down. It's not going to hurt it. Okay? Anyway, that's a brief summary on how to get a hold of your controls your gauges on your computer. Extremely important.